Hi, I'm David Partika, and I created CSS Burner as a rapid optimization tool for CSS. As part of the playlist about finding common errors, which is a playlist within the optimized CSS channel for CSS Burner, I'm going to show you today a small block of code and a very commonly a commonly made error that you see often in style sheets, and I'm going to show you how CSS Burner can detect this error and what you can then do about it after you've detected it. So we have here, and I'm going to highlight it, a very small block of CSS, and I just want you to take a moment to just scan this CSS and see just at face value. Just take this as the only CSS for an application. Pretend that's the case. What is wrong with this CSS? There is an error here. What is it? So just take a moment to think about it. Okay. And I'm going to now scan the CSS. Now by default, you don't have to check any of the boxes to detect errors, but all the boxes that I'm checking here will not influence the detection of the error. So what I'm going to do now is scan and get rid of this dialog box. And what we see is that there are actually two errors. So here, let's just mouse over them. The selector input plus A, so that selector is a next sibling selector. So what that means is if you have any input element, the next sibling as an anchor, just apply the styles of height and width being 50 pixels. But there is an error here, which if we click on the indicator, we'll see that the report is highlighted in red, and with a larger report with more errors and indicators, warnings, etc., it's useful to have this highlight function. So when we see that CSS properties are only meant to be paired with certain selectors, so not all CSS properties, but some. And what this means is that certain selectors only support a set of properties that is not the entire set of CSS properties. And if we wanted to, what we can do is we could go to learn more about this error at the W3C documentation here about selectors. But in general, what this means is that this style is applying to an anchor element, and height and width are meant to be applied to elements that have display block or inline block, or at least something that is not inline. An anchor is not a block element. An anchor is an inline element. And we see the anchor rule here does not have anything about display block in it. So this, as it stands in isolation, is in error. If you opened up a code pen and if you try to create an anchor with a width of 50 pixels and a height of the same, you're not going to be able to do it. It's inline by default. So I just want to show you now, if we apply the same scan, in this case what we're going to do is explicitly include a display block rule, and now scan the same style sheet. What we're going to see is there are no errors found, because once you've explicitly declared the inline element anchor to be block as its display type, then a width and height that are fixed can be applied. Then other rules can be applied as well that work for block elements. I believe text align is another one of those. So that is an example of how CSS Burner can quickly find common errors. In this case, The error being that the selector does not support the properties present in the declaration block, which were height and width. And let me just paste it back here to show you again. Height and width. An anchor can't have a fixed height and width unless it has been explicitly set as having a block or inline block display. And there are other types of displays too that work. I believe table also works, but it can't be inline. So this would also apply to span elements as another example. The italics tag, the I, that would also apply as well. So this is a very common error. CSS Burner can detect it within a second or fractions of a second and can really help streamline your workflow, especially if you do development for a living. So if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed to the Optimized CSS channel already, please do so and look for some more of these helpful videos in the near future.